The Nightsisters, also known as the Witches of Dathomir, were a clan and ancient order of magic-wielding women, who lived on Dathomir, a planet bathed in dark-side energies, and these dark-side users were able to perform their arcane magics by tapping into the magical ichor that flowed through the depths of their planet. They were very weary of outsiders of their planet, basically forming a cult on Dathomir. They were dedicated to the studies and practices of the dark side magic of the planet Dathomir. They knew that technologically advanced species posed a threat to their coven, so the Nightsisters became warriors to defend their planet and their ways, and this led to the period known as the Golden Age of Nightsisters. The clans flourished, and separate Nightsister clans lived in harmony. However, the era nearly came to an end as the clans drifted apart. However, the iron will of the new clan mother, Talzin, kept the clans together, unifying them into a single clan, and this is what we know as the Nightsisters. And although the Jedi and Sith would view their powers as residing in the dark side of the Force, the Nightsisters' studies differed from the power-hungry ambitions of the Sith or the knowledge-seeking of the Jedi Order. Their magic could conjure objects into thin air, enchant weapons, and reanimate the dead, alongside with a number of spells that could teleport themselves short distances, cloak starships, tame wild beasts of Dathomir, and more. Much of the Nightsister magic is still overall unknown, but we do know that the Nightsisters were a matriarchal society. The coven of sisters lived apart from the men of Dathomir, the Night Brothers, who was only there to serve the sisters as servants and breeders, and most Nightsisters were native Dathomirians. However, they did allow other species, mainly humans, into their coven, although this was very rare. And some notable members of the Nightsisters include Mother Talzin, who was probably one of the most notable Great Mothers, a formidable figure of power during the Clone Wars, and she united the clans of Dathomir. And Talzin's expertise in the magics was significant enough to attract the attention of the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious. Mother Talzin herself could be described as very manipulative. She was able to control various different factions in a puppet master-like fashion to achieve her goals, all the while maintaining a facade of loyalty to her various underlings who were none the wiser to her true intentions. She made deals with the Jedi Order, the Sith, and even farmed out her best warriors as mercenaries or guns for hire. Mother Talzin was an extremely powerful witch and master of the dark magics. She was able to manipulate the spirit ichor that flowed from Dathomir's depths in a variety of ways. Unlike other members of her kind, she claimed to have a natural connection with the Force. Despite this, her powers were in fact derived from the Nightsisters' unique connection to the Force, which allowed her to see the future or events from across the galaxy. Everyone who worked with her was aware of her powers and knew she had ulterior motives. She was feared by everyone with a connection to the Force and even tortured Dooku with her magic as a display and message of her power. There were also many other Great Mothers residing on Peridea, the ancient homeworld and kingdom of the Nightsisters. Their names were Clothro, Actropah, and Laxus. They were practicers of the dark magic, claiming to read the threads of fate and destiny, and they also teamed up with Thrawn to return their fallen Nightsisters to Dathomir for reasons we are still awaiting to be seen. And they connected through Morgan Elsbeth to return to Peridea to achieve their goals with Thrawn. And Morgan Elsbeth was another notable Nightsister, and one of the few Nightsisters who survived the Battle of Dathomir and the massacre of the Nightsisters. She ended up working for the Empire to regain the power to her clan that she once had, and her goals were ultimately in the search for power. She worked with the banished Thrawn on Peridea to return him and the Nightsisters to their known galaxy. She took control of the planet Corvus, building an Imperial war machine, and she was the mind behind the TIE Defender. Having ties to the shipyards of Corellia, she was able to build the Ring of Sion, which rescued Thrawn and her sisters. Darth Maul was a member of the Night Brothers and being gifted to Darth Sidious as a Sith apprentice, proving to be a strong warrior and disciple of the dark side of the Force. And his brother Savage Opress was also a Night Brother, chosen by Talzin and quickly strengthened with dark magic by Talzin to become the apprentice of Maul in an attempt to kill Dooku and Sidious so that way the Dathomirians could rule the galaxy. This was all part of Talzin's plan, and Asajj Ventress was also a Nightsister, again being traded by Talzin and given to Dooku to learn the Sith ways of the Force. She became a Jedi hunter, assassin, and bounty hunter, working for the Sith and herself during and after the Clone Wars, and is certainly one of the more notable Nightsisters we know in the galaxy. And then there was Marin, again a Nightsister who survived the Battle of Dathomir and the massacre of the Nightsisters. Remaining on Dathomir to protect her homeworld from outsiders, she continued the dark magic. She eventually teamed up with Jedi Cal Kestis and the Mantis crew to fight the Empire, and she became a member of the Hidden Path, rescuing Force-sensitive children from the Empire, and despite her ways in the dark magic, she chose a life of her own and tried to do some good, unlike other members of the Nightsisters. For this next part, I'm going to be listing many Nightsisters, canon and non-canon, who existed in the Star Wars universe, many of them from different clans and eras, but all fall under Nightsisters. And some of the clans included the Singing Mountain Clan, the Nathdiri Nightsisters, the Spider Clan, the Mother Talzin's Clan, the Blue Coral Divers Clan, the Great Canyon Clan, Misty Falls Clan, Red Hills Clan, Dreaming River Clan, and Frenzied River Clan. Now, there may have been some other smaller sects that were not named, and again, all of these clans were united under the golden age of the Nightsisters under the rule of Mother Talzin, and some of them may get separate videos. Now, here are some Nightsisters we know about within the Star Wars galaxy from movies, TV shows, books, comics, and video games, and again, some of them may get separate videos later on, but here they are. Selena, who was a member of the Nightsister clans and was killed during the massacre of the Nightsisters, and of course was the mother to Morgan Elsbeth. Jacera, who was kidnapped by the Empire and trained to become an Inquisitor, she killed her master and became a bounty hunter to travel the galaxy. Kyriza, who was banned from Dathomir for infighting between the clans, and she was exiled to Hoth afterwards, and she's probably most famous for mind-controlling Mwampas to take control over Hoth. Magella, who was the personal bodyguard and enforcer of the crime lord Alexei Garin, leader of the infamous Black Sun criminal syndicate. Deathstick, a Dathomirian assassin for Crimson Dawn and other criminal syndicates. Silverly, who worked for criminal syndicates like the Zahn Consortium. Akiva Min, a Nightsister elder who discovered the art of draining the life force of her enemies to enhance her own power. She became a threat to her own people, and she was exiled to the Chamber of Banishment on Dathomir. Soon Chalo, who banished Akiva Min. Gethuzeran, who was the leader and founder of a clan on Dathomir. Barthena, who served as Gethuzeran's right hand. Charal, who left the Nightsisters and became the self-proclaimed Queen of Endor, tormenting Ewoks. Karis, Nelith, and Talilia were all Nightsisters who were sent and trained to assassinate Count Dooku with Asajj Ventress. Then there was also Luce, who was also a warrior, and then there was Daka, the oldest and wisest of the Nightsisters. Her vast knowledge of arcane magics was unprecedented, and as the elder of her clan, Daka passed down the expertise to other Nightsisters. This lended her the reputation of being the most powerful member in her clan, and the clan's leader, Mother Talzin, regarded Daka as so in particular. Leela, who was a nurse, Satra, who was a herbalist, and Yanzu, who was a shaman of the Nightsisters. Morthranax was just a Nightsister with little information on her. Dix, who was a Rancor tamer. Kimaru, who also was banished to the Chamber of Banishment. Kaisina, who was the mother of Darth Maul, and shortly after Maul's birth, Kaisina persuaded Darth Sidious to take her son away from Dathomir, thus sparing him a life of slavery as a Night brother. Nadina, who was also imprisoned in the Chamber of Banishment but escaped with her Rancor. Rabathiri, who was a Nightsister war chief and a witch who ruled over the wardens of an imperial prison as a Dark Queen. Salish, who fled Dathomir during the massacre, and she was the mother of Deathstick. Sai Sikru, who we have little information on. Salem, who was a clan mother of many Nightsisters, like Zeldin and Tamith Kai. Nightsisters were much more than just a dark magic clan. Many of them were Rancor tamers working for criminal underworlds. They became bounty hunters who frequently had prices on their heads. Assassins, nurses, shamans, herbalists, you name it, Nightsisters had a job that they could do. And if I missed any notable Nightsisters or clans, feel free to comment them down below. The Nightsisters were very xenophobic towards other cultures, religions, and planets, being very protective of their homeworld of Dathomir, where they studied and bathed in the dark magic that their planet emits. But they also have roots in the extragalactic planet of Peridia, home to the now destroyed Witch Kingdom of Dathomir, an ancient extragalactic civilization. And the planet Peridia, as said in Nightsister legends, is described as the planet and the original home of their people who rode the Purgil to travel between galaxies. A significant portion of the planet's culture revolved around the ancient kingdom of the Dathomir. Several towering statues depicted those who originally populated the planet, and it dotted the landscape with those towers. The droid Hu Yang believed the Nightsisters made the planet Peridia the capital for their civilization, the Witch Kingdom of Dathomir. And the three great mothers we know of, Clotho, Akropa, and Laxus, still resided on the planet, and it is unknown if there are any others. And the three great mothers resided on an ancient fortress that was built into a mountain, and the fortress included an underground temple as well as Nightsister catacombs, and there was ancient markings and Sith text or the old tongues adorning the fortress. And Balin's Skull recounted the planet as a land of fairy tales and mysteries, thought to never exist. Now it is a wasteland, only relics of the past lay there, but he is in search of a greater power on this planet, and not only are there towering statues of Nightsisters, but also a statue of the Mortis gods. What we know about the planet is that it was a graveyard for the Purgil, making the migration there to die. The entire planet was surrounded by a ring of bones of Purgil, and this was the first extragalactic planet we've seen in Star Wars, with many of its secrets still a mystery, and I hope we get to learn more about them in Nightsister Legends. It was also the location of Thrawn and Ezra's exile, and again Morgan Elsbeth built the Ring of Sion to reach the planet to recover the Great Mothers and the Nightsister catacombs and take them to Dathomir. The Nightsister connection of Peridia and Dathomir can be seen in its architecture. Towering statues on Peridia can also be seen on Dathomir, like the Witch's Horn. And Nightsister architecture invoked fear and harnessed the dark side energy from Dathomir. Structures like the Tomb of Khajet, which was originally built by Zephonians, but was inhabited by Nightsisters, and it also resembles the fortress on Peridia, which again has mentions of the Zephonians. And Nightsisters had dungeons and catacombs littered all over the planet. Within the Rift Valley, the Haunted Lands, the Swamp of Sacrifice, which hosted a ruined Night Brother arena, there were other Night Brother arenas across Dathomir, and the Nightsisters most likely kept their brothers or slaves to fight in their arenas for their entertainment, asserting their matriarchal dominance, and they also kept the Night Brothers separate in the Night Brother village. In other words, it was a slave encampment. There was also numerous caves where they kept dungeons like the Chamber of Banishments, and some of the caves held rituals and harnessed the power of Netheri cluster crystals, likely the source of their power. And we can see Marin using a crystal in a chant of reincarnation. The cluster crystals also served as the power to their artifacts and weapons. Powerful crystals like Mother Talzin's orb, and jewelry like the Talisman of Transformation, which allowed a user to transform into another creature. And weapons like the Talzin's sword were definitely enhanced with the Netheri cluster crystals, and this weapon's hilt resembled the face of a Malmural, a demon worshipped by the Frankhorn cult, which most likely got its power again from the cluster crystals. And Nightsister sickles used by Selena in the Battle of Dathomir could be enchanted and even deflect lightsabers. Nightsisters also had energy bows, spears, swords, and knives. Although Nightsisters were great warriors, they couldn't match the might of the Separatist droid army. In the first Battle of Dathomir, great losses fell upon the clans. In the second Battle of Dathomir, otherwise known as the Massacre of Nightsisters, they were hunted to near extinction, and all types of droids were used to take down this dangerous cult. B2 super battle droids, commando droids, HMP droid gunships, deploying them and hunting them down. Their weapons and magic weren't enough to stop the droids, and with them being xenophobic towards other cultures, no one came to their help. All being led by General Grievous, the massacre was part of Palpatine's plan to remove any dangerous threats to his rule as Emperor. Knowing Mother Talzin's great strength with the dark side of the Force and her own ambitions, alongside with Nightsister clans being great warriors and even taking Maul and his Night Brother as his apprentice, Palpatine needed the Nightsisters gone. And during the massacre of the Nightsisters, being led by General Grievous, the vast majority of Nightsisters were exterminated. Those who survived served other dark forces or themselves. Many Nightsisters became bounty hunters working for criminal syndicates, some even inquisitors to hunt down the Jedi, and others hid in the fear of being hunted by the Empire. To my knowledge, Merrin was the only survivor who stayed on Dathomir. Morgan Elsbeth stayed for a while but eventually joined forces with the Empire, and the legacy of the Nightsisters is overall one of mystery. Their magic and powers were only known to them. Great warriors and disciples of the dark side of the Force, they were feared by all factions within the galaxy. Better off alone on Dathomir is what many thought, and they had very little influence on the galaxy, but with the return of Thrawn and the Great Mothers of Dathomir, the wrath of the Nightsisters may soon be unleashed upon the galaxy. So with that, subscribe if you would like, and until next video, goodbye.